right, welcome guys. So today we're going to be talking about some of the common theories and techniques that are used in behavior change, and we wanted to just take some time to go through all of them together. So these are some theories that you are going to see show up on your exam. So if you're sitting for that exam, these are pretty important to know. So we wanted to take some time to really go through them and make sure that you're familiar with them and that you have an understanding of what kind of falls under each category. So that is what we are going to talk about today. So the first theory we're going to talk about is unconditional positive regard. And this was developed by Carl Rogers. And again, you don't necessarily need to know the ins and outs of who developed the theories, but just have a good understanding of really what might fall under that particular type of theory. And this is a theory that's non-directive, it's client-centered, just as pretty much everything else we've talked about our entire course. And basically, this is just showing complete support and acceptance of the person in front of you. It's an attitude of grace, even knowing that they're coming to us and what really in their mind feels like, I'm failing at this. And it's really up to us to treat them with unconditional positive regard, you know, so we're caring for them as a client, not necessarily whatever that diagnosis is that they've been given. You know, they really have a right to feel how they want to feel, to you know, what they've really brought to our table, and that's okay. We're going to support them no matter what. So there really isn't a view of a good behavior or a bad behavior. We are truly embracing that person for everything they are in that moment with us. So again, we're going to meet those clients without judgment. You know, it's the underlying theme of health coaching. There's always going to be this judgment-free zone. And, you know, as the coach, it is our job to challenge them to look at those behaviors that are maybe falling outside of their beliefs or values, yet we're going to accept them regardless of what their choices are, what their outcomes are. We are still going to appreciate that person for who they are in that very moment. Okay, the positive psychology model. So again, this is just bringing in positivity into our coaching sessions. You know, as we've talked about before, we know that when we are functioning in that positive mindset, we're in that part of the brain that's going to allow us to grow and thrive versus staying in that negative mindset. And you know, we know that when we're in that negative mindset, our brain starts to shut down and we lose creativity. We're kind of working out of fear. And so as the coach, the more that we can really embrace that positivity, the better that person's going to be able to grow and thrive and seek confidence in themselves. And so it's basically allowing those clients to learn to maximize the positive influences in their lives, whether that's positive emotions in engagement, relationships, meaning, in their accomplishments. You know, it's really our job to kind of bring in that positivity.
One thing, one thing I want to say in general, that for all these theories, in my mind, this is how it works. So you can correct me if I'm wrong. But like the process and the structure that you're going to learn very soon in this course was really developed using all of these theories sort of woven together. We sometimes get questions from students of, okay, why do we need to learn these theories? But these are research-based, science-backed, kind of proven to work theories. And they've been used, as you read your textbooks, it'll feel repetitive because a lot of these theories and techniques of behavior change, even though there's multiple theories, they all sort of have similar parts and pieces to them. Yeah, so before we get deeper into them, I just wanted to stop and say, I think of these as being woven together to create this whole process that you are learning and are about to learn more about.
Yes, that is such an excellent point, because that's exactly right. That's what we're doing. So it's not that we're solely working from positive psychology. It's not that we're solely practicing motivational interviewing. However, these things that we know are so impactful in a coaching relationship, we have taken and interweaved throughout those. And so each of these theories are like little tools in your toolkit. And so depending on who you're working with and what's coming up, it's okay, well, let me pull this out from my toolkit that I know may be a response here that's going to help this person grow. So excellent point, Ray.
Yeah, I like that. Tools in the toolkit.
Okay, moving on. Appreciative inquiry. And again, these are all terms that you're going to see pop up. And so we just want you to have a familiarity with, because they're going to throw some weird theories out there too that don't exist. And so the major ones we want to make sure you have exposure to. So that way, when you are sitting for the exam and you see this weird thing that you have never heard of, it's probably a weird thing you've never heard of. Right. And that's okay. So, just kind of learn to not let those get in your head of like, oh my God, wait a minute, I don't know what this is. If you've never heard of it, it's probably just something they're throwing on there to throw you off. So again, we're just introducing you to some of these theories, so that way you've got a good grasp of, okay, what are some of those tools that are actually beneficial in the coaching toolkit?
I felt like on the exam they blended some of them, like appreciative psychology. And I'm like, wait a minute. Yeah. It's a combination of two, but then the real answer was there as well. So that when they throw one out there that you're like, I don't think I've ever heard of that, don't choose it. Yeah.
Just trust yourself. Trust yourself.
It's like, no, I haven't heard of that one. Yeah. And we are covering all of the ones that might potentially be on this exam.
Yeah. Okay, appreciative inquiry. So appreciative inquiry is, again, basically just designed to appreciate what that client has in front of us. It's a nice tool to kind of keep in our toolbox for this. And so what we're doing is we're really moving away from the problem that this person presents with, and we're just seeing the person for who they are, and we're appreciating that that person comes with their own resources, their own strengths, and that they have within them already everything that they need, all of the resources that they need to be successful. And so when we're going through our questioning and our evoking, that's what we're doing, is we're helping bring that out and bringing some light of, oh yes, I have everything I need within me to succeed. What can I pull from? What are my strengths? How can I, knowing me, do what I want to do to be successful? So these are just some example coaching questions that might be helpful in when we're kind of, again, pulling out the tools of the toolbox. So when we're talking about, unconditional positive regard and positive psychology, describe the most energizing moment from your life. What made that happen? Oh, wow. What made it possible for you to? What was it about your unique qualities that allowed you to? And again, so just kind of allowing them to tap into, okay, what do I know about me? What are my, we all have our own personality traits. And when we can embrace those personality traits, so often we're so quick to use our personalities against us, yet our personalities can be pretty impactful when we're trying to do things we want to do. And so it's like, okay, well, what do I know about me that I know that this is going to help me be successful as opposed to hinder me?
Right, because all personalities do have their positive traits and the strengths that are within that personality. Yeah. So you're, as the coach, you're helping them to pull the positive pieces out.
Right, and see the positive.
Right.
So often we're like, oh, I'm just such a night owl. Well, okay. Knowing that, let's embrace it, as opposed to feeling like this is a flaw, that we have to be, the early bird every day. Okay, knowing that you thrive at night, how can we use that to our advantage? And so there's all sorts of little personality quirks that we see as quirks, and it's like, actually, let's do this. Let's use this and to help us. Exactly, take advantage of it. There's the words I'm looking for. Okay, so that brings us to the self-determination theory. This 100% is going to be on your exam. So just be familiar with it. Again, and this is a pretty in-depth theory. So like if you get online and start reading about, there's a lot of things that come up with this self-determination theory. You don't have to know every single thing about this theory, but just understand and appreciate what it stands for. And so basically, what this theory says is that if there are 3 primary psychological needs that are met, we are most likely going to be able to move forward with whatever that behavior change looks like. And so what those are autonomy, competence, and relatedness. And when they use the term relatedness, this really means connections. And so again, when these 3 components are in place, when we are respecting autonomy and we are understanding that we have the ability to make our own decisions, no one likes for their autonomy to be threatened, right? When we try to take that away from somebody, we automatically go into, wait a minute mode. And so when someone has full autonomy of their decisions, their actions, and what's next, then they are going to feel comfortable in moving forward. They need to feel competent. When we have the confidence that, okay, yes, I can do this, then again, they're going to feel like, okay, I can move forward because, yeah, I feel pretty good that I'm going to be able to tackle this. And so that leads us into connections, and we know that our social connections can make or break us.
Yep.
They absolutely can. And so when we know that we have quality social relationships that can serve as resources, that can help us, then we know that we have those things in place that are going to help us thrive. So again, self-determination theory is really 3 big components: autonomy, competence, and relatedness, which is essentially connections. And so really our job when we are applying the social determination theory in coaching is really for us to just seek out those 3 areas, what support systems do you have in place? What does that look like? We're always granting autonomy. That comes from day one. So we know that one's really going to be there and fostered. And when we're talking about competence, okay, what do those action steps look like? Are we providing adequate stretch, yet the ability to do them? And this is just their definition, Deci and Ryan, who created this theory. I'm not going to read through this. You guys can read through this in your notes, but this is just their actual definition that they have, kind of related to the SDT.
And one thing I'll say about self-determination theory too is it's really the end goal. Self-determination is what you really, in the end, as a coach, are hoping to lead your client to. So they are self-determined. You're really trying to work your way out of a job.
Right.
So they don't need you anymore.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's your great point.
Right.
That it's end goal.
Yeah.
It's okay. When I have that self-determination, I can conquer the world in
Right.
anything that I do.
Right.
Because now I know the process and now I understand how to set up my social structures and
Right.
all the things.
Yep.
Okay. Autonomous motivation. This is listed on their study guide, and this kind of goes without being said.
Some of this is common sense.
Just like
type of stuff.
right, we just talked about.
Yeah.
If we're self-determined, we really want to have that motivation. And this can be considered a component of the social determination theory. And it's really that motivation is derived from within, not necessarily externally. Mm-hmm. And that's end goal, is what are our intrinsic rewards versus those extrinsic rewards. And this is a big part of why we talk about our vision and values. And when we work from our values, there's going to be that intrinsic motivation. And that's when we know we're going to thrive, because it's great to want to train for a marathon, mm-hmm. or fit in the dress for the wedding or the reunion or whatever that looks like. At the end of the day, the marathon's over. The reunion comes and goes. Yet if we're always working from our values, then we always want to be able to walk up the stairs comfortably. We always want to be the grandma that's fun, that's on the ground playing the games, And so again, we really want to draw out those intrinsic motivators, because those are going to carry over for life.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. As the coach, you're helping lead them towards more intrinsic motivation. Yeah. And away from extrinsic motivations.
Right.
Good point, Beth.
Okay. Social cognitive theory. So this is another theory that really kind of brings three main components into play here. And you're also going to see it as a self-efficacy theory, sometimes even the role model theory. And basically, this is just getting to the point where we have that self-efficacy, that confidence that, yeah, okay, I have the ability to change. I can do this, and I know that I'm going to be successful is the bottom line.
Yeah, the confidence that you can, I think, is how I think of this. Yes.
Exactly. And so what this theory says is that human behavior is really determined by three interacting factors here. And a lot of times when you see the social cognitive theory, you'll see it laid out as a triangle because all three of these pieces are always kind of working together. And so what those are is your personal, your environment, and then your behavioral. And so personal is just what we believe. And again, everyone's coming to you with different beliefs because we've all lived different lives. We've all been raised with certain beliefs. And, you know, that is going to absolutely determine how we're going to change and how we're going to do that because our beliefs play a major role in our behavior. So personal is just kind of the baggage we already bring. It's kind of how I think about it. Like we all have our own little set of
good and bad baggage.
Of lenses. Exactly. Like this is kind of our lens that life has been developing from like basically day one. And then our environment. And this is the support systems, your role models, your networks, you know, all of those things that are kind of in play around us are also going to shape what behavior actually happens. And then there's the behavioral, and this is actually experiences and accomplishments that that person has had in the past. So, you know, you've got that person and they have tried to lose weight for 15 years. Over and over and over again. Well, those experiences are going to play a major role in how they're going to move forward and even their confidence. And so their behavioral aspect is really huge. And the social cognitive theory really appreciates the power of role models and that we know that when we have certain role models, we do tend to mimic what they're doing. And so we can use that to our advantage. You know, what support systems do you have? Who are your role models? Because we know that if we have that certain person that we aspire to be, it will motivate us and it will help us move in that direction that we want to go in. Okay. So we're going to take a break and kind of shift to another lecture. So the next set of slides, we're going to talk about the trans-theoretical model of change. So we're going to give you guys a little break, and then we're going to actually upload another section so we can talk a little bit about TTM.